Hello, this is Art Senpai. Today we'll be doing art review class. I definitely did not forget about this series. Trust me. So this time, I'm going to review a drawing from Jigs8kun. Wait, Jigs8kun.
I do not wish to be horny anymore.
Apparently he wrote, in need of criticization and tips. Well, let's get started. The first one is the anatomy and the pose. I think the head is a little bit too small. The pose is unnatural as well. I believe that Jigs8kun wanted to draw a girl floating in space, but it doesn't look like she's floating. Secondly, the light and shadow execution is somewhat weird. The lighting is a little bit too dull. When you're coloring, avoid using same color tones for the entire drawing. Play around with different colors or the drawing will look very monotonous and boring. You can check out my color tutorial video if you haven't already. In that video, you can find a detailed explanation on all the color theories as well as how to implement them into your drawing. You can click this card at the corner right here to get teleported. Alright, since we know what's the problem, now let's fix them. Firstly, let's fix the anatomy. As I said, the largest problem is the size of the head. It's too small. Also, the pose is kinda unnatural. How do I know that? That's because I fervently research various pictures of females sitting sexily in my free time. Some of the famous sitting poses that are commonly found in anime illustrations are Seiza sitting pose, leg hugging sitting pose, or Wariza sitting pose, and many more. Bet you didn't know sitting poses have their own names. You're welcome. I think the sitting pose is a little bit too upright, so I tilted the girl a little bit to the right and changed the angle of the head as well. Right now, the girl is doing some sort of weird gang sign. Look, I don't want to get shot from reviewing a gang sign illustration, so I redraw the arm and the hand so that she's doing the typical hand reaching out pose like we always see in animes. Yeah, I know it's a mainstream pose. It's more natural this way and I don't get shot. I changed the pose for the legs as well. I think this kind of leg pose portrays the floating feeling better compared to the cross-leg pose. Then, I start to sketch some rough line art for the new pose. A rule of thumb, guys, it's always better to draw your character looking at the camera rather than looking somewhere else, because by doing this, it can keep the viewer's attention engaged. Dear Jigs8kun, you're gonna make Isaac Newton cry on the bathroom floor. You know that there's no gravity in space, right? So everything you draw must be somewhat floating and not fixed to a certain direction. Their hair and the clothes, for example. In your drawing, it looks like the girl has the power to neglect 9.81 meter per second square. Is she Michael Jordan? The skirts are the hardest part to draw, to be honest. It's hard to imagine the wrinkles and the arrangement in a zero gravity environment. But phew, I made it somehow. Now, for the last part, I'm going to add a jacket or a hoodie. To clarify, I'm using all the colors from the original drawing for the hair, eye, and skin except for the shirt. I decided to go for a neutral color for the school uniform because the original drawing has too much purple in it. Then, I chose a neighbor color for the color. Here comes the part where I trigger a lot of flat earthers. Then, I added the sun to act as the light source. After that, I proceed to draw the shading and lighting for the character. The light source is at the back of the girl, so she is currently in a backlighting situation. Thus, she will look a lot darker. Finally, I added the remaining shadows and did some small touch-ups. Ta-da! It's done. I won't fix the details because I just want to give you kouhais a better view on the modifications and improvements. So this is the before and after. What do you guys think? I hope it helps. I think a more suitable theme for this drawing is a float in the air rather than sitting in the air. However, the original posture cannot fully express the floating vibe. So for the next section, I'm going to modify Jigs8kun's drawing completely.
二人の間通り過ぎた風はどこから寂しさを運んできたの泣いたりしたその後の空はやけに透き通っていたりしたんだ父の言葉が今日は温かく感じました優しさも笑顔も夢の語り方も知らなくて全部君を真似たよもう少しだけでいいあと少しだけでいいもう少しだけでいいからもう少しだけでいいあと少しだけでいいもう少しだけくっついていようか
見ていたはずの夢はいつも思い出せない。
そういうことが時々ある。
ただずっと何かを。
朝目が覚めるとなぜか泣いている。
誰かを探している。
星に待って願って手に入れたおもちゃも部屋の隅っこに今転がってる。叶えたに夢も今日で100個できたよ。たった一つ大好き抗がん護所。いつもは喋らないあの子に今日は放課後また明日どこへもかけた。慣れないこともたまにならいいね。特にあなたが隣にいたらもう少しだけでいい。あと少しだけでいい。もう少しだけでいいからもう少しだけでいい。あと少しだけでいい。もう少しだけくっついていようか。
I think that's a wrap. This is how I would draw my illustration if the theme is a float. The first half of the video is me slightly modifying the original drawing and providing you kouhais and an insight on how you can improve the drawing. But the second half of the video is basically just me drawing my own version of a girl who is afloat. Which version do you guys like? Comment down below. I have never drawn a floating girl before, so I was kinda stuck at the drafting phase for a very long time. I came up with quite a handful of poses, but I decided to go for this one because I rarely draw this kind of perspective, so I wanted to challenge myself. But in the end, I feel like this finished drawing is not as good as the draft. Lamel. But hey, sometimes you just gotta have the courage to try. And that's all for today's art review. I hope you guys like it.
If you guys want to get the Photoshop version of this awesome drawing of mine, make sure you check out my Patreon, link in the description below. Feel free to support me on Patreon, I really appreciate it. Please drop a like, subscribe to my channel, and follow me on Twitter. DM me if you want a commission from me. Alright, that's all from me. Jana, kouhais.